the biggest concern that the UFC has right now, and how do they fix it? I'm going to be talking about that tonight. The NFL Combine is this week. How much value should the GMs put on hand size and some of these skill tests? Chris and I are going to get into that. And the top 5 sports programming shows that ESPN has to get rid of right now. I'm going to have that list and so much more. You found a show that helps you be smarter than your friends when it comes to sports. Let's get it started.
You're tuned in to the hottest sports analysis of the week with your hosts Ron Dolbeck and Chris Roberts. And now, here's the first round.
Congratulations, you found us. You're in the first round with Ron Dahlbeck and Chris Roberts every Wednesday and Sunday, doing it live here, talking about everything going on in the world of sports. There is so much going on in the world of sports in a time normally, Chris, where it's a little bit of a lull.
Yeah, a little bit of a lull, but not this year. This year it is kind of jumping with sports news.
We got MLB news. We got NFL news with the Combine. We've got UFC news. Yeah. College basketball is huge right now. NBA basketball is huge right now.
Yeah. I mean, you got the emergence of Zion Williamson in the NBA. Do you have the resurgence of Jason Tatum? I mean, the guy is a baller for Boston. I mean, it's just so much stuff going on. I mean, from the Yankees on down the list, man.
Well, Jason Tatum is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's resurging because he's just been surging. And the Yankees suck. And that is great news. We're definitely going to talk about that tonight. I want to talk about the best thing I saw in the world of sports today, and that is exactly what Chris just said. Zion Williamson, 19 years old, can stand his ground with almost anybody else in the NBA. Last night, 29.6 rebounds and 3 assists. At LA, they get the loss, but I think this kid in only 13 games in the NBA has definitely established himself as the next great talent, which a lot of people could have said, oh yeah, I could see that coming. You know how many times we hear that it's Markelle Fultz comes to mind, Alonzo Ball comes to mind. Tons of players have been the next great thing that's coming down the pike, and then they don't pan out. I think this kid is for real. I've got some awesome stats that Chris and I are going to go over. And how about Jason Tatum? Plus-minus numbers and a lot of other statistics. I am so super high on this guy right now. It's incredible. I think he's the major reason, along with their coach, that the Celtics are doing so good right now. We're going to cover that in NBA. How about other NBA news? Steph Curry scheduled to come back Sunday against the Wizards after having a broken hand and being out since last October. Ben Simmons' back issues we talked about on Sunday. Turns out he's going to be gone at least 2 weeks. How significant of a loss is this for the 76ers, who I think are tumbling down the wrong direction as the playoffs get closer? We're going to talk some female college hoops. How about that? Sabrina Ionesco, first male or female player in college basketball to go for 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists. I think that's awesome. Duke drops 2 out of 3, including last night, costing me a good amount of money on the road to Wake Forest. That should never, ever, ever happen, but it did. I think they're going to bounce back. Huge bubble games on TV tonight. LSU goes on the road to Florida. Arkansas in a must-win at Tennessee. How about Rutgers going on the road? They have to get a win if they're going to get into the tournament. I don't see it happening because they're going to be at Happy Valley playing a very strong top 10 Penn State team. And Stanford in an absolute stone-cold lock game. They have got to win at Utah. Otherwise, I think their bubble bursts. How about UFC news? Khabib Nurmagomedov, the best pound-for-pound UFC fighter I think that's out there right now. He's got a fight coming up against Tony Ferguson. Excuse me. I think that's going to be a tough fight. But the real story is does he or does he not want to fight Conor again? I think this is the biggest problem right now in front of the UFC, who is a 5-star organization. But they've got to find a way to get this fixed. How about the Yankees starting pitching rotation going to Major League Baseball news? Luis Cervino comes down with arm tendonitis. They thought that he was having soreness. It was inflamed arm. He needs to have Tommy John surgery. He's out for the year. This is only the beginning of the injury problems and starting rotation problems for the Yankees. Chris and I will get into that and so much more. Chris, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's going on in sports tonight. We didn't even talk about the NFL Combine really and get into that. Plus, my 5 shows on ESPN that absolutely have to be canceled right now. But let's get started with Zion Williams. Last night against the Lakers, going up against the current, if you want to call him czar of basketball or king of basketball, King James, LeBron, doing it at home with 40 points. They get the win. But I think an impressive outing for Zion Williamson. First time going to Staples Center, first time playing against LeBron. I don't think he has anything to hang his head about. In fact, I even just in 13 games, I see this kid getting better and better. He is actually the first NBA player that I have gotten excited about in years.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about this kid. I mean, I see him play, and when was the last time you saw somebody like this? He's 6'6", 260. He can jump. I mean, he's faster than the big men that he goes up against, the centers, and he's stronger than the forwards that they put on him. Plus, he has hustle, hustle, hustle. The one word that comes to mind is athletic. He's mind-blowingly athletic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the kid is athletic. I mean, he has a body built like a tank. You would think he would probably be like somebody's tight end or something like that in the NFL. But I mean, the way this guy is able to jump out of the rim, snatch rebounds. I mean, I remember like the first play actually seeing this guy actually take a rebound from a defender. It's just like he just jumped up and snatched the ball from him. It's just like, wow, this guy has like really, 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 really grown man strength. I mean, to be a 19-year-old kid.
I know. That's what I was just going to say. 19 years old. He's averaging 28 minutes, 23 points a game. He's shooting 42% from the arc. I love all those numbers. And here's a number that I found today, and 7 rebounds. On the plus-minus ratio, which is one of the advanced metrics that the NBA uses to qualify their players, he's plus 87. Only one person on his team has a better plus-minus ratio than him, and he's only been in 13 games, which kind of hurts his plus-minus. To give you an idea of how good that is, I had a hard time finding many players. I'd say there's about 20 that are plus-minus over 100 right now. Anthony Davis is plus 233.
Yeah.
LeBron James is plus 452.
Yeah.
Again, a lot more games. How about Jason Tatum that you brought up in the start of the show? Jason Tatum's higher than both of them at plus 429. I think he is the hottest rising rocket player right now in the NBA that more people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Lakers should know about him. They passed over him for Alonzo Ball. I mean, think about
Oh, my gosh, that was so catastrophically ridiculous.
So just think about that. If you had LeBron Davis and you know, you have
Jason Tatum right now? Oh, I would tell they would be a lock for the championship, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you have LeBron that can bring the ball up. You have Tatum that can take you off the dribble, great defender, great rebounder, athletic. And you have Davis, I mean, as a big man, I mean, hardly anybody can guard him. I mean, as long as he stays healthy.
Did you see the game last night with the Pelicans and Lakers?
I was actually watching the Duke game, which was so good, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, gosh, that stupid Duke game. I mean, I can't right now. I mean, my wallet is screaming right now because they lost that game. I had a money line bet on those idiots, and I can't believe they lost. So let's talk about some other good players in the NBA and what their plus-minus numbers are. If I said Brandon Ingram, young, on the rise, talented player, plus-minus ratio minus 56. Now, remember, Zion is plus 87.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram is minus 56. How about Drew Holiday, another team member his? Got handles, good defensive player. Another guy who's been on the All-Star team before, minus 17.
Yeah.
How about, what if I said Ben Simmons?
Oh, God.
He's got a huge contract out there. A lot of people thought a year or two ago he was going to be a stud. His number is still lower than Zion in only 13 games at plus 79.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, you know, Ben Simmons still can't, you know, hit the side of a barn from the side of the barn. So shooting a jump shot. So, yeah, I can see that.
I'm amazed at Zion's numbers. So let's get back to last night's game against the Lakers. I saw him beat LeBron down the court for an easy layup that, frankly, LeBron looked like he was loafing.
Right. And
then on 3 different plays, he blew past AD like he was nailed to the center of the earth. And AD was contending. I mean, he's got, 15-foot arms.
Right.
And he blew right past him for 3 layups in a row. Plus, he made JaVale McGee look like he needed to get out of Staples Center, get into the wheelchair, go down to the Jewish Community Center, play some shuffleboard, put on the wraparound glasses with the Velcro shoes, the walker with the 2 tennis balls, and call AARP and call it a day. He schooled him so bad. JaVale McGee was in Staples Center 5 hours after the game was open, still looking for his jockstrap. That's how bad he got juked.
Well, I mean, you got to look at today's kids. I mean, nowadays, I mean, kids are not just specialized in just being centers. Like JaVale McGee was a center. Zion Williamson in high school brought the ball up the court. At Duke, brought the ball up the court. Was able to take you off the dribble. He shot threes. I mean, he has a mid-range jump shot. So, I mean, all of those skills he's already honed in. So, to face somebody like JaVale McGee, who basically only played big man and take him off the dribble, I can believe that. But you got to think that guy is so athletic, though. I
know, and he is going after and taking it to guys like almost 7-footers, like JaVale McGee, or a true 7-footer. Isn't AD almost 7 feet?
Yeah.
And he schooled him yesterday. I mean, 3 times. I probably missed a couple of them, but those 2 guys right there, he destroyed him in the paint. He's only 6'6". I mean, this kid is so exciting right now. I'm not even supposed to be this excited because I am a Celtic fan, but I have not been this excited about a player in the NBA. Man, I honestly, I can't even remember. Steph, I got excited, when Steph started peaking. And this kid's only 13 games in, and he's already starting to peak. I think we're looking at like 15 years of glorious dominance. And I think in the next year and a half or 2 years, it's going to be the time for James to pass the torch to this kid.
But you still have your Jason Tatums out there that are still, that are doing the thing.
Jason Tatum is awesome and athletic, but this is scary good.
But you got to think though, Jason Tatum can take over ball game.
I know,
but just for stats wise, you had Jason Tatum when he played the Lakers just recently.
Right.
AD guarded him. Guess how many shots he made on him?
Oh, I don't know.
6 out of 7.
Wow. I know he dominated him.
Exactly.
I mean, it was crazy. And you know what I really loved about Jason Tatum watching that game against the Lakers? That they only lost by 2 points on the road. And when the Lake Show came to the Boston Garden, they lost by over 30. But that's a separate issue. What I really liked is when I saw him hit the paint the last couple years, you know what he would be doing? Yeah. When he got contested, he'd be planting that foot and he'd go for the 2 or 3 inch fall away or the jump shot right there. Yeah. Now he's taking it right to the hoop, like you said, over AD. Jason Tatum and Zion, I think, are 2 of the most exciting, with Luka Doncic, of course. Right. But these 2 are on a different athletic level. Yes. Luka Doncic is smart. He can shoot the outside shot, probably as good as Tatum. Tatum is a great 3-point shooter. But I think Tatum and Zion Williamson are 2 of the skyrocketing young talents in the NBA right now that actually are going to win over people in my generation. That 28-year-old bracket that I mean, I'm excited about this kid.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I'm really excited to see just how far Zion can go. Hopefully, they limited his minutes. I mean, because of the whole weight thing. Hopefully, he gets that situated. I mean, you can't change your body type, but hopefully that gets situated that it don't wear him down and shorten his career.
I don't think he needs to lose a lot of weight. Do you?
I think he needs to slim up just a little bit.
Like 10 pounds, 5 pounds?
I mean, he's solid muscle, but
I know. Where's it coming from?
I don't know, man. But it just still.
You know what? That's the least. If I'm the GM there for the Pelicans, or I'm Alvin Gentry, the coach, that's the least of the things I'm worried about. Other NBA news: Steph Curry scheduled to come back Sunday against the Washington Wizards after breaking his hand last October. The word that's coming to my mind with Steph Curry right now, with the earlier this week, the news came out that Golden State is going to hold out Klay Thompson for the rest of the season. So there's no hope of him coming back. They have the worst record in the NBA right now. And the word that's coming to my mind, Chris, and maybe I'm out of my mind, and it's not a fan favorite word, is I just load manage this guy. 1 out of every 2 or 3 games. Take off. Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that, Steph. You keep going on vacations with Aisha, just stay in shape.
Well, you want him to start building the rapport and the relationship with the other players. They're going to be there next year, but I don't push it too far. They're 12-46 right now. They've lost 7 games in a row. I mean, what ship is he going to come in and save? There's no hope of them making the playoffs. I just say take it easy with him. And then this is what's crazy. There's news out today that they're going to try and make a deal to get Giannis out to Golden State. Now, how sick would that be with Draymond Green, Steph, a healthy Klay, and then you add Giannis? I mean, can you say like top of the pyramid down to the basement with the rats and then back up to the penthouse in a 3-year span?
And I can actually see that working. I mean, because look at how they were able to lure Kevin Durant from Oklahoma City. So I can actually see that happening with Golden
And
State.
I see the exact same thing that could happen with Milwaukee because honestly, I know that Giannis has super loyalty, strong ties to the city of Milwaukee for giving him a chance. But sooner or later, he's going to wake up one morning and realize they're not winning a championship there. In fact, I think it's this year or not happening.
Yeah. Well,
And he's going to want to start. He's going to have eyes like Kevin Durant and want to start figuring out, okay, I got to get a championship here at some point. Where's the path to get a ring?
yeah, and you're looking at the Eastern Conference, and I don't. If he don't win it this year, I just don't see them winning out of the Eastern Conference.
You know what I'm thinking right now? This is just off the top of my head. Out of every team in the NBA, who has stockpiled draft picks?
Besides Boston.
Boston. What if Boston got Giannis out of Milwaukee? And they put him at center. Just play him at center.
He's not going.
Okay, put him at 4.
He's not going to want to play the 4. I mean, Giannis is one of those guys. He's kind of like a.
Well, they can move him around. Put him at 3.
Yeah.
Put him at 3. They can move Gordon down to 2. Kemba at 1. Tatum at 3. Giannis at 4. And then, fill in anybody they got Cantor there right now.
Right.
So, I mean, that right there looks like a superstar team to me.
Yeah, they look like a superstar team, but if that's going to be the case in point, especially if he's not a free agent, I mean, if I'm Milwaukee, I need a star too. I'm not losing my superstar just for draft picks.
No, but I think that Danny Ainge can make a play. I mean, we just talked about how they moved around and hyped up Markelle Fultz, knowing full well that they were going to take Jason Tatum. I think that was a brilliant move. And then they end up dumping Markelle Fultz on the 76ers, who blow a draft pick, blow 2 years worth of salary, and then they trade him or let him go to Orlando for a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, nothing. And he's having an okay kind of rebuilding season, if you want to call it that. But that's not the first brilliant move that Danny Ainge has made in the GM position for the Celtics.
Yeah, but I don't think Milwaukee's going to fall for that okie doke the same way that Philadelphia.
If they see he's not going to sign, then you got to get something for him.
You got to get something for him. But I think if that's going to be the case in point, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm going to star for a star. I'm not going to trade my superstar just to get draft picks because I don't know what I'm getting.
Well, that's true, but every team has their process. And speaking of process, did you like that segue?
Sure.
That's
a segue.
Speaking of the process, how about the lack of process going on in Philadelphia? Ben Simmons now is going to be out at least 2 weeks. Then they're going to reevaluate him. They're in 5th place right now. They have a terrible road schedule. They have terrible chemistry. I don't see it getting any better. Is it time to hit the explosion button on this team? Or is there? I think there's too much there for the fans of Philly to say we're giving up now. But I think that if that's the case, they're holding on to false hope. There's no way this team, built as it is today, is going to win the Eastern Conference, let alone a world title, right?
Not a world title, not with the way it's.
What about the Eastern Conference?
They can't even compete in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
I mean, you got to think. I mean, you got Toronto
that
still has a
Boston's
good core.
better.
Boston's
light
better.
years ahead of them.
You have
Milwaukee,
Miami. Right? So you have these teams that are years ahead of them.
So do they start blowing up the process and starting a new process?
Yeah, and if I'm Philly, I'm looking at going ahead and trading Ben Simmons. And to be honest with you, if I had to keep Ben Simmons or Embiid, I'm keeping Embiid and go from there.
I think we've talked about this before, they way overpaid Ben Simmons way too early, way too much. He's averaging 17 points a game. He's getting paid way too much money. I know he hasn't had an injury problem, but like you said, I mean, this kid will walk all the way around the barn and then walk in the front door. Yeah. He can't, his 12-foot, 15, 16-foot range, it's just not there. And as athletic as he is, and as much as his heart wants to get with Magic in the offseason and get with former players that are great in the offseason and become better, it's just not working. The process is not working. They almost made it last year, but that was the window, I think.
Yeah.
And they've, like you said, there's 4 teams off the top of my head right now, just in the Eastern Conference, that are literally, I think, light years. And I'm not going to put Miami in that category. I'll say Boston, Toronto, and Milwaukee are all light years ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, well, with the reason I put Miami in there is simply because of just Pat Riley. Pat Riley is there. Pat Riley is going to make the most difference when it comes down to that to Philly. I mean, because Pat Riley is going to make the right moves to get the right players to keep Miami relevant. You can't really say that for Philly, unfortunately. I mean, you got Elton Brand in the front office, but he's not going to be able to be savvy as Pat Riley.
I know. It wasn't that an odd hire to bring in Elton Brand just so quickly out of out of his own NBA career. Plus, he's so young, and now he's making big GM decisions for a team that was the GM that was there before. I know there was all the sexual harassment, Me Too type stuff that he was doing, and it was crazy. But when Elton Brand got there, they had a good baseline foundation that, I thought that giving away Jimmy Butler and Redick, I think, was the downfall of this team. And then you go out and pay Al Horford way too much money for 14 points, 12 rebounds a game. They gave him $114 million over 3 years for that? That's crazy. That's kooky talk.
But, in the NBA, of course, it's all about relationships. And, I think Elton Brand had a good relationship with Michael Rubin. And, I mean, that's how, he was able to get into a situation like that. I mean, Michael Rubin's he's a good guy. And he's one of those guys who loves to take chances on young talent. And he saw that in Elton Brand and decided to give him a shot.
Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. Somebody really smart in my life tried to teach me that a long time ago. When was the last time we said, let's talk about college hoops? And we were talking about the women.
Yeah.
I think it's time we start talking about it because Sabrina Ionescu from the Lady Ducks in Oregon had an incredible feat as an awesome player, but capped it off this last weekend at Stanford, becoming the first male or female player in all of college history. So major props here. To score 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists in her career. And guess what? She's 5'11".
Yeah, but...
2 thumbs up to her.
But guess who her mentor was, though?
Kobe.
Exactly.
I know. And the day she did it, she flew from L.A. at his memorial, where she actually was a keynote speaker, up to Stanford to play the game to break the record.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty touching.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And, what was really, really nice to see was... while she was giving her speech, her team actually sat courtside at Stanford with the computer and actually watched her give that speech just to give her support. And also, what else was awesome too? Steph Curry was at the memorial, and guess what Steph Curry did?
I know.
Flew back to Stanford to watch her play and make that feat. Yeah,
I know. But when you got $900 billion, you could do stuff like that. She has 26 triple doubles in her career at Oregon. And the Oregon Ducks are 26-0 when she has a triple-double. They're ranked 3rd in the country right now, the Lady Ducks, and they are 26-2. I think they're a team to watch out for come tournament time for them. Let's talk about the biggest disappointment. I had to talk myself off the cliff last night with the game that you were watching. So I love money line parlays right now. I'm like the last 3 weeks, I have been literally white hot on my bets. It's been incredible. I'm never this good, especially in college basketball. So last night, I had Auburn straight up.
Okay.
I had Baylor straight up.
Okay.
And then I had Duke. Guess which one jacked me? Duke. And the sick thing about it is with 3 minutes left to go in the game and the best coach ever coaching you had a 7-point lead. Somehow they still blew it. How is that possible?
Daddy Manny pulled out some magic, man. I mean, that game was so awesome. But what happened was, it's like Duke it's like they faded down the stretch.
Oh my gosh, they totally faded.
It's like they faded down the stretch.
Then my bank account faded.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like watching that game. It's like Duke was like, you know what? I get it. We can see. We let y'all win this. We get y'all tournament time. It's like they just stopped playing the game. It's like they didn't even have heart. You
can't stop playing when I have money on the line.
It's like they didn't even have heart going into that overtime. I mean, that overtime, Wake Forest just like, you know what, we just going to put our foot on your throat and we're not letting you up.
Well, yeah, in the second OT, they definitely did. And you know what? I lost so much money, I'm going to have to sell my house now.
That's funny. But that guy Childress was special, man. He was special last night.
Well, last night he was, yeah. Hey, let's do some trivia with Chris. Chris, we haven't done trivia in a couple weeks. You're playing for $100, or you have to wear gear of my choice if you get this right. This one is a softball, I think.
Let's see.
I think you're 0 for 3. Ready? Youngest NFL player to ever be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'll take a name or the age that he was inducted. Go.
Youngest player in a let's see.
5.
27.
You're guessing 27.
27 age.
Okay. So you're going to be wearing some Celtic gear, some Red Sox gear. I might have you wear your Yankee hat with a big red circle and an X through it.
Right.
The correct answer is in 1977 at the age of 34.
34.
At the age of 34, my man, Gale Sayers, right there.
That's right. He died early, too. He died at a young age, too, didn't he?
No.
Is he still living?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gail. My bad.
You are way off. Gale Sayers, the Kansas Comet right there. NFL Rookie of the Year 1965, MVP 67, 68, 75th anniversary All-Star team. Youngest player ever to go into the Hall of Fame. Right there, Gale Sayers. I think he's one of the 5 best running backs ever in the NFL. But that's just me talking.
Okay, I'm thinking about Ernie, whatever the guy's name.
Oh, you're thinking about Ernie Brown?
Something
From Syracuse?
Yeah,
who went to play with Jim Brown.
Yeah,
Or Ernie
Ernie, yeah, I'm thinking about him.
Davis.
Davis, there you go.
Ernie Davis and Jim Brown for playing for Cleveland. All right, let's get into some UFC news here. We had the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of UFC news, and I said at the beginning of the show, I think the UFC right now. I've only said good things about the UFC as an organization, and that's why 2 years ago they were sold for $4 billion. You know, it takes me like 5 weeks to earn that kind of money. $4 billion. That's some real money. But I think Dana White and the whole management staff there does an awesome job. Habib Nurmagomedov. I always have to say that slower. I'm not going to get it right. The fight between him and Conor, the rematch, is the fight that everybody, all weight divisions, all classes, all world want to see. The rematch between those two.
Right.
Except me. And I've got some really good reasons why. Here's the thing. They fought in October of 2018, and Conor lost on a submission when he tapped out. I think it was in the 3rd round or the 4th round. Some interesting comments coming out of Habib's camp. He said, quote, this is from Habib, Conor was fighting the fight against Donald Cerrone. Donald is not a high-level lightweight anymore. And I think there's a lot to that. That's true. But then his manager comes out, Ali Abdelaziz, and says, the only chance that this fight happens between Habib and Conor is in the street. McGregor is blank. 4 letters, starts with S.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, these guys, these teams, and these 2 fighters individually hate each other. Now, Habib's got a fight coming up against Tony Ferguson at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, April 18th, that I'm excited to see because I think this is going to be, again, 2 guys that are really good at 155 at the top of their game. One of them's not washed out, trying to redeem himself or bouncing back after a bad loss. But after that, I really can't see a good matchup between Habib and Conor. Can you? My interest level for that is not that high right now.
My interest level is not that high from it, but I wouldn't want to see that match anyway just because of the emotions that the 2 camps have with each other. And quite frankly, if that match was to happen, I think somebody's going to get hurt really, really bad.
Well, Dana White came out 2 days ago and said Conor is begging him to make this happen. And what has Habib said for the last 6 months? I don't even want it to happen. Right. So how is he going to get Habib, Dana White? How is Dana White going to get him to sign this contract? I got some interesting thoughts and information about this. Let's look at Conor's history. He beat Cowboy Cerrone in 46 seconds this last January.
Right.
But let's just go through his fight history. October 2018, he lost to Habib in the 4th round. Mm-hmm. The fight before that, he beat Eddie Alvarez November in 2016.
Right.
So you got to go back 2 years. It's not like he was just cranking out fights and defending his belt. You got to go back to 2016, 2nd round knockout. The fight before that, he got a majority decision against Nate Diaz in August of 2016. The fight before that, submission, loss to Nate Diaz in March of 2016. Then you got to go back to 2015 in December. He had a first-round TKO of Jose Aldo. I was actually in Vegas. The weigh-in for that fight was sick at MGM. And the fight itself, I remember being there. There was probably about 9 billion Irish people. And it was like a caravan, like a snake. 20 people deep, screaming, singing, banners going through the MGM casino. I'll never forget it. It was awesome. So where's the tough competition? It's not like he's been super active talking about Conor. And I don't think he's fought against the top guys. Before that, he had beaten Dustin Poirier, who's I'd say a B-level guy. Chad Mendez, a C-plus level guy. And then we're going into the Dennis Silva, Diego Brandao, and Marcus Brimage in 2013.
Right.
I mean, it's not like he's got this litany of just like knocking off every single person that's ever been a top-ranked guy at 170 or 155. I think if Conor steps into the ring at 100%, God comes down and says he's 100% physically ready to go. He's at the peak of it. He's at the apex of his physical prime status right now. Both of these fighters are. I'm still not interested in that fight because I think Khabib mops the floor with him.
Yeah, I think he mops the floor with him. But again, I mean, just from those comments with Khabib basically saying he doesn't want to fight the guy, then you have his manager comes out, says what he says.
Right.
And again, because of all the raw emotion in that's going to go into that fight, I think that, this is a fight that Dana is good to just let that be a fight that people want just simply for safety reasons. Because I believe if Khabib actually... How
do they make that fight happen when Khabib doesn't want it to happen? I think there's only one way it happens. Tony Ferguson has got to beat Khabib.
That's it.
And then Khabib has got to have a reason to want to get back up to that number one spot at 155. And I don't see Tony beating him as good as he is. And as skilled as he is and as tough as he is. I don't see it happening. And so it's like, if I'm Khabib, I'm like, what's my motivation? I got $100 million. I got the belt. I make the decisions. Yeah. And why am I going to fight some guy that I beat 2 years ago that's been inactive, and the only fight that he's had is against Donald Cerrone, who, quite frankly, his best years are in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
How are we going to make that fight happen if you're Dana White?
I mean, you can't. I mean, unless there's like some up-and-comer that comes out of nowhere that will make it an interesting fight for Conor McGregor. But, I mean, other than that, you can't make it happen.
Well, we've talked about there's a lot of people on Conor's side that I think that he could fight. Justin Gaethje is out there. And then it's a big thing about whether, he's going to fight at, 170 or 155. I think Colby Covington would be a great fight for him. I think Kamaru Usman, depending on the weight, would be another good fight for him. Justin Gaethje seems to be the hot new name that's out there. Jorge Masvidal is out there. But he's going to fight Usman he's going to fight Usman hopefully in the next couple months. The winner of that could take on Conor after Conor has another tune-up fight, which I thought that's what the Cowboy fight was. I don't see a path right now to how this happens because how is Dana White going to force Khabib's hand? I mean, if he doesn't want to fight him, he's not even. It's like he's not even the number one contender. So he has where's the leverage? He's just going to throw money at Khabib. He's not interested in that. He's got tons of money.
Exactly. I don't know how Dana's going to make that work, but that's why Dana's the greatest promoter in sports right now. He'll find a way.
Well, I think he seems to think that this is going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread if they can make this happen. He even compared it to Ali and Frazier and Ali and George Foreman fights. Like it was on that epic of a scale. We'll see what happens with that. Moving on to other news. The NFL Combine this week, 377 participants getting together in Indianapolis to show off their skills like they haven't done it already. And what's crazy to me is yesterday, for some reason, ESPN had a red breaking now story flashing on the bottom of the screen. The measurements of Joe Burrow's hands. Is that the level we're at now? I mean, I can understand 40-yard dashes, and I really don't care about how many reps they can do at, at 245 on the bench press or whatever. Yeah. You got 60 seconds to do it. I mean, I don't even know or when fatigue kicks in. But like hand measurements?
Yeah, he has tiny,
and so,
tiny
I know, but he won a national championship in the toughest conference in America. Why do I care?
Because somebody can come and easily strip sack the ball. That causes problems.
I don't know. It hadn't happened yet. I think that I think that the GMs, some GMs and owners put way too much emphasis on these small little analytics. And I'm going to tell you the worst one ever. Al Davis was the worst at this. I got a name for you. Darius Hayward Bay. He ran the fastest 40 the year that he came out in the combine. And guess who fell in love with him?
Al Davis.
Al Davis. Just win, baby. We're committed to mediocrity. And they drafted him, and then what happened? He had a cup of coffee, and he's selling car insurance down in Tuscaloosa or something. I mean, I think it's just crazy how much. This is the thing. When it comes to the combine, you're going to have a certain segment of players that over-exceed, and then they don't pan out. So I'm thinking of Darius Hayward Bay. I'm thinking of the Jamarcus Russells. I'm thinking of the Steve Entmans. But then on the other side of the coin, you're going to have players that are absolutely off of everyone's radar. How about Julian Edelman? How about Russell Wilson? He didn't blow everybody away at the combine. I'll tell you another one. How about the GOAT? 6th round draft pick, Tom Brady. Didn't blow anybody away. In fact, there was a lot of critiques on many of the scouts' boards when it came to the information about Tom Brady coming out of the combine, and he ends up being the best ever. So I think that you have these two situations where there's players that over-accelerate. They have a good week. Why aren't we looking at the body of evidence over the 2 or 3 or 4 years that they've played and giving more weight to that instead of the fact that he came up one day and jumped 76 inches? So now he's going to be an awesome pass rusher.
I mean, yeah, I never put too much stock into the combine simply because basically you have these guys basically training for 3 or 4 months after the season is over. You have, basically they're working with trainers. They're working with trainers to teach them how to interview and do interview process.
Right, very specific.
Right. So, all of this stuff is just like, okay, it's like basically you're preparing for a test. I mean, because in that case, it didn't help Jerry Jeudy. Did you hear Jerry Jeudy speak this week?
No.
So, Jerry Jeudy.
Wide receiver from Alabama.
It's hilarious. So, Jerry Jeudy has a Star of David necklace that he wears around his neck.
Okay.
And so, was questioned, Jerry, why do you have the Star of David, an iced out Star of David around your neck? So, he goes on and gives his explanation, when I was coming up, people called me Jew, so I got a necklace that said Jew. Now, granted, his name is spelled Juedy, but he has a necklace that has a Star of David that's spelled Jew. And I'm like, okay, so you didn't think about that before you spoke?
What's the over and under on his Wonderlic test? I actually ran into Jerry Jeudy.
Really?
I actually ran into Jerry Jeudy at a supermarket one time, and he was buying some lobsters.
Right.
And the guy took the lobster out of the tank and put it onto the scale to weigh it.
Right.
And Jerry Jeudy goes, no, just hold his tail. I just want the tails.
Yeah.
I just want just hold him upside down.
That's funny, man.
And I said, Jerry, you got to weigh the whole thing. And he didn't get that. And then about 3 minutes later, we were talking about movies, and he said, what time does the midnight show start? And I went, oh, my gosh, dude, you got to focus on catching footballs. Are you out of your mind?
Hey, man, at least he paid for the lobster tail. I mean, he could have ran out like James with the crab legs, but that's another story.
Oh, that's the first critical comment. And there is the first critical comment about Florida State in first-round history from the biggest FSU homer ever. And that's the critical comment of the day, sponsored by Chris Roberts. Okay, let's get on to MLB news. Luis Cervino to miss the entire 2020 season. And before this, for the Yankees, starting pitcher, and before this even happened, I had said to you, I am concerned about their starting lineup. And this was after they got Garrett Cole.
But you know what, though?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
According to ESPN.
Here we go. Let's hear it. How you gonna dig out of this one?
Nah, according to ESPN, the Yankees actually had the best starting bullpen in the Major League Baseball.
What, last year?
No, this year with the addition of Garrett Cole.
Wait, bullpen or starting rotation?
Starting rotation. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No. Okay,
yeah.
let's take a look at who they've got. Obviously their number one starter is going to be Garrett Cole.
Right.
Then they've got James Paxton, who had an ERA over 4 last year. Then you got Masahiro Tanaka, who was 11-9. That's not blowing my wind up my skirt, with an ERA of 4.48 or 4.45. Okay. J.A. Happ is your 4th starter, who they're trying to trade publicly. They came out and said, "We're not signing you. We don't want you. Please leave. We don't care if we get anything for you."
I'm just going by the total sports leader, ESPN.
Okay, let's talk about your 5th guy. How about Domingo Germán? He is on domestic violence suspension until June. So who are your starters? You got Cole, Paxton, Tanaka, and then what? You got Jordan Montgomery, who was 9-7 2 years ago as a rookie with an ERA of 3.88 and was showing some progress. And then he had Tommy John surgery. Luis Servino is going to be out because of Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
So you got Cole, Paxton, Tanaka, Montgomery. And who's your 5th? CeCe's not walking through that door this year, pal.
Of course not. We'll go pay for somebody that we usually do. That's what we do best.
Yeah, exactly. Go out there and get somebody. Brian Cashman's got a little bit of work ahead of him. And on top of that, the second biggest strikeout magnet that they have besides Mr. Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, comes out last year only playing 18 games for you guys. Now, I think you paid him all year, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And he played 18 games. He had an MRI done today. It came back a grade 1, what's it called? Grade 1 strain on his right calf.
Yeah.
Is probably going to miss opening day.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, but he's such a great home run hitter. I know, when he's on the field.
I know.
What is that saying that you have?
The greatest ability is availability.
The greatest ability is availability. Well, I think that anybody that ran out as soon as they signed Garrett Cole and started getting their finger sized for the World Championship ring was a little bit premature, because I'm worried about and let's talk. First of all, you also lost Didi Gregorius.
Yeah.
You lost Betances out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
So it's Aroldis Chapman, and then what?
Oh, boy.
Pitching wins titles, man. That's why I'm concerned about them. I think they win the East, but World Series, I don't know, man.
Yeah, go digging in the farm system, see what we got happening down there.
Farm system is code word for daddy's bank account.
Yeah.
This is going to be Brian Cashman getting on the red bat phone and saying, "We need some money to go get somebody."
That's right, Daddy. Let me hold that debit card.
Exact debit card.
Yeah.
It's American Express Black Platinum or something card, diamond encrusted something, because you're going to need somebody to come up there. That pitching staff is going to last about 5 minutes unless you get somebody else in there. So we talked at the top of the show about the ESPN top 5 shows that we want to have canceled. And before I get to that, I want to remind you guys, first of all, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for participating. You can get a hold of us here at the show at thefirstraundrd@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, The First Round, and the number 1. Good follow for us there. And we're joined every single week here with Ray Boom Boom Mancini, our producer in the St. Jude studios on Wednesdays and Sundays, talking about everything going on in the world of sports. This Sunday, we will not have a show. It'll be on Saturday. So recalibrate your watches. We'll be here Saturday at 6 p.m. sharp, talking about everything going on in the world of sports. And having said that, I think ESPN sometimes in the off seasons or low-lying seasons like right now is reaching up to touch bottom programming-wise. And I finally got to the point where I had to put together a list of some of the shows that they've put on that are real shows. I don't even know if some of these qualify as sports. And I don't even want to say it's a head scratcher, but I'm finding myself asking, why am I watching this? Is it just because there's nothing else on? I can't watch another Ginsu 2000 or Slap Chop commercial. So some form of competitive back and forth beats out the infomercials.
Yeah.
This is the list that I came up with. At number 5, have you ever seen Slippery Stairs? Now, I'm not even kidding.
Nah.
Slippery Stairs is a 36-foot staircase that's made out of plastic.
Right.
You get into full-body unitards, all women or all men, 5 or 6. It's about 10 feet wide, maybe 8 feet wide.
Right.
They lather all the stairs with this super slimy soapy contraption. And at the top of the stairs, there's a bell that you grab and you ring it and you win. And it's the first one up. Now, halfway, there's like a 3-foot platform. So it goes up, there's a platform, and then you go up to the top. Anytime before you get to the platform, if you slip, when you're coming down, you can wipe everybody out. Or you could grab people and pull them down.
Oh, heck no.
Has anybody out there seen what I'm talking about? Ray,
have you seen it?
Ray, you're not even supposed to watch sports. What are you talking about?
Was it funny, Ray?
It's hilarious, yeah.
Oh my God! I'm the world sports leader, and they're playing slippery stairs, and they actually have little tiny mini bios on the people that are playing slippery stairs.
Wait a minute.
No, I can't.
Are you serious? I'm thinking this is some show that comes on like ABC that hosted by Steph Curry or something.
No, this is a show on ESPN, the flagship channel. Not 2, not Classic, none of the other ones. This is on the flagship station at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock the other night. I couldn't believe it. Slippery stairs. Okay, let's get past slippery stairs to an equally disturbing competition, if you want to call it that. I'm not even sure this is a sport, but the worst part about this sport, before I tell you what it is the fact that they have sponsorship shirts. They have shirts with sponsorships for cornhole competition, sponsored by Johnson Brats. When you want to have big meat in your mouth, it's Johnson Brats cornhole competition. What in God's green earth is this about? Cornhole, where we see that at the college football games. We have the bean bags. You stand 20 feet back. There's a hole about as big as a thimble, and you got to get the bean bag in it. There are professional sponsorships all over these guys' shirts.
Why?
And they actually asked these guys, how did you make that last shot? Oh, it was really coming down to it, and I felt the pressure, but I knew I just had to sink one more beanbag. Are you out of your mind? I'm not sure this. Ray, have you seen this? No, he's just saying no. He's embarrassed about that earlier comment. I don't even know where to put this, Chris.
Me either. I'm stuck at the sponsorships. Who does that?
You know what? I got to watch it closer next time to see who's actually sponsoring this. Besides Johnson Brats, because they're the ones that sponsor the Cornhole National Championship. Have you seen? Okay, so you had to have seen some other shows on ESPN that we would call jacked up, questionable shows for the sports leader.
Yeah. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is the lumberjack show. I'm like,
oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, so we're cutting down trees, rolling logs. What are we doing here? Like, come on.
Well, we're serious about it.
I mean, they're really serious about this. Like, okay, I'm thinking I'm watching like what's that show? The Legend of Oak Mountain that comes on A&E, but it's like an ESPN show with all of these lumberjacks cutting down trees. What are you thinking, ESPN? Come on.
And have you seen the chainsaws that they're using? They're like 55 feet long.
I know, right?
It's so crazy how big these things are.
I mean, look, they took a page out of Leatherface's from the scary movies, and hey, we're gonna chop down the trees, brother.
I mean, how does this work when you have a pitch and you go to ESPN and you're like, look, we're getting guys wearing Timberlands and flannel shirts like Chris, and then we're gonna give them huge chainsaws, and they're gonna cut down these really big trees.
Yeah, I'm like,
you see the vision? This is gonna be a ratings bonanza right here. Everyone's gonna watch it. Look, cancel the Super Bowl. We're going wall-to-wall lumber athletics for the next 5 hours. We're going to have bios. We're going to have a blimp. We're going to have a tree out there, the mascot from Stanford. It's going to be awesome. And ESPN goes, yeah, okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's throw a bunch of money into that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, my next show too,
Go ahead.
I'm tired of seeing these big old giant
world's strongest
guys that
the world's strongest man.
Yeah,
I actually don't think that's that bad.
God, you see that guy just like struggling to pick up a ball, like a 200-pound, like 300-pound ball, and take it like 5 feet. I'm like, dude, just drop it, dude. You about to kill yourself.
The agony of defeat.
I know, right?
ABC's Wide World of Sport. It used to be on ABC Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, dude, you picking up these balls and your veins about to blow out your neck, man.
I know, listen, when you see my top 3, you're going to want to put that on a 24-hour loop compared to this.
Let's see.
At number 3, believe it or not, I mean, I can't even make this stuff up anymore. Darts. Dart competition on ESPN. I don't even know how to describe this. There's so many levels. This is not right. Darts, that's not even, does that qualify as athletics?
No.
Darts?
No, it doesn't. But the only thing that make it cool if they have drinks involved.
You got to have drinks to have darts involved. If I don't have drinks, I can't watch it.
Yes, if you have drinks involved, then yes, darts would be worth it.
Darts is my number 3, and it even gets worse. Okay. This one, I guarantee you guys have not heard of. Most people out there. Death diving.
Okay.
Death diving. You get up on the very top, the highest one, like 30 feet up, or I don't know, it's usually over in Europe, so they're like 17 meters high. I'm like, what the hell's a meter? I'm in America. Okay. Anyway, they're way up there, like 35 feet, and you run as fast as you can, hoping you don't slip. Feet first and hit your head, and then you're dead halfway before you get to the thing. And then you contort your body in every single way possible before you hit the water. And whoever does that the best wins the death diving championships, whatever that means. You haven't seen this?
Isn't that high diving?
No, this is not high diving. This is a Tourette's attack 40 feet up in the air that is induced by cocaine. That's what this is.
Oh, so they basically took an event from the Olympics, made it that you can run.
Yep.
And then just jump off and do something crazy.
Absolutely no rhyme or reason to it at all.
And just pray that you don't belly flop. Basically.
That's it.
Okay.
You pray that you don't belly flop.
Exactly.
Because their body it looks like if you took one of those tongues, remember those like plastic tongues?
Yeah.
And they were like sticky material?
Yeah.
If I had both ends of it, or like a rubber band, if I pulled both ends of the rubber band, let it go, that's what the body looks like when you jump off.
Wow.
Absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. And number 1, I will knock either of you out and you'll be immediately fired if anybody says this is a sport. The worst show on ESPN programming in the last 10 years, by far.
Okay.
Dog show. We're at that point. I would rather be living in North Korea run by Kim Jong-un with no TV and minimal internet. Dog show. Westminster dog show. It's women, first of all, running around in flats. Which I can't even, don't even get me started. I should have had my stiletto out here today. They're running around with the dog in flats,
right,
and they spend more time on these dogs, primping and pressing them and getting them ready. And I actually saw a woman flossing her dog's teeth. I can't do it.
Yeah,
she was flossing this dog's teeth. And they actually have people that come in and work on these dogs for hours. And then they run him around on artificial grass, indoor. And this is a sport. This is not a sport.
Yeah.
You don't have good shoes on. You're hurting my eyes. And why are you on ESPN? I'm scared.
I don't know.
Dogs. It's a dog show for crying out loud.
I think I watched that show for all of like 5 minutes, and the only reason
5 minutes. You got you're on double secret man card probation right now for saying that.
No, wait. Seriously, the only reason I watched for 5 minutes is because they had a dog that would never do what the lady asked the dog to do. So the dog would actually go the other way. So I'm like, okay, so is he ever going to get through the obstacle course?
Raymond, you're the deciding vote. Is he on?
Was that funny, Ray? Is that funny?
No. Probation, take his mic away. No, completely take his mic away. Take his mic away for that. There's no good First of all, you admitted you went and saw Aladdin and Frozen. That right there puts you on double secret man card probation. Now you just said to all of YouTube that you watched the dog show for 5 minutes.
Yes.
You're out. No, we're not even
funny,
listening. You're
That's hilarious.
And you know what the stupid part of it is? The next part of the show is what's going on in the world of sports. So you know what? You got to do it with no mic. Let's hear it. What's going on in the world of sports? Chris, you just ruined my night.
What's going on in the world of sports? Hey, we may have a super fight brewing in the wings with Layla Ali and the Tyrannosaurus, Clarissa Shields. There we go, Clarissa Shields. We have that fight brewing up, and that's coming on. And also, we have Bradley Beal, who made NBA history, the first player to score 50 points back-to-back and lose both games. Bradley, I know you're looking sick right now on the Washington bench. You should have went to another team, kid. Sorry, man.
Thank God that music is playing, and it means only one thing. One, I'm not talking to you for the rest of the week until we do our Saturday show right back here on YouTube at 6 o'clock. And it's time to thank our support staff. The man on the board, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, my host, as he is always, Chris Roberts, watching dog shows on ESPN and admitting it somehow. El Presidente, Chet 40 for all of us here in the first round, the St. Jude Studios. We want to thank you for participating and being here with us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, help grow the first round to epic proportions. We will be right back here Saturday at 6 p.m. talking about everything in the world of sports except dog shows, and hopefully you will join us then. Until then, take care, everybody.